Right now, somewhere between Mars and the Sun, an object the size of Manhattan is moving at 130,000 miles per hour. It came from beyond our solar system. It has been monitored continuously since July 1st, 2025. And on October 3rd, at precisely 1400 hours Universal Time, it did something that should not be possible for a natural comet. The Allen Telescope Array in California recorded a coherent radio emission at 1.42 gigahertz, the hydrogen line, lasting 47 seconds, repeating with a period of 3.1 hours, and the emission pattern was directional, aimed at Earth. I am Michio Kaku, and for 40 years I have studied the cosmos through the lens of physics and probability. I have explained black holes, string theory, and the multiverse to millions. I have always maintained a position grounded in evidence, in the scientific method, in Occam's razor. But what is unfolding with 3I/Atlas forces all of us, to confront a question we thought was theoretical. Are we witnessing the first confirmed extraterrestrial signal, or are we, once again, finding patterns in chaos? Let me be clear about the institutional response. On October 21st, 2025, as 3I/Atlas reached solar conjunction and disappeared behind our star from Earth's perspective, the International Asteroid Warning Network issued a campaign notice, not a routine observation request, a campaign. They mobilized radio observatories on 4 continents. They tasked the Hubble Space Telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, the European Space Agency's JUICE mission, NASA's Juno spacecraft near Jupiter. This is not standard protocol for a comet. This is the kind of response reserved for near-Earth asteroids on collision courses or, and I want you to understand the weight of this, objects that display characteristics inconsistent with natural origin. Think of it this way. Imagine you are walking through a forest and you hear a sound, a rhythmic tapping. Tap, tap, pause, tap, tap, pause. Your brain tries to explain it. Woodpecker. Falling branch hitting rock. But then you realize the rhythm is too regular. The intervals are exactly 3.1 seconds. Again and again. That is not a woodpecker. That is Morse code. That is intent. That is information. That is what we are confronting with 3I/Atlas. The object was discovered by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, ATLAS, a global network of 4 robotic telescopes in Hawaii, Chile, and South Africa, designed to detect near-Earth objects. On July 1st, 2025, ATLAS flagged a fast-moving point of light. Within 1 week, astronomers at the Minor Planet Center computed its trajectory and confirmed what no one wanted to believe. Hyperbolic orbit, eccentricity greater than 1, velocity exceeding solar escape speed. This object was not born here. It came from interstellar space, only the 3rd confirmed visitor after 1I Oumuamua in 2017 and 2I Borisov in 2019. But 3I/Atlas is different, profoundly different. Let me give you numbers. 1I Oumuamua was approximately 100 meters across, tumbling, cigar-shaped, inert, no coma, no tail, no outgassing detected. It sparked debate, yes, but it behaved mostly like a rock. 2I Borisov was a classic comet. 975 meters in diameter, visible coma, spectroscopy revealed water vapor, carbon monoxide, cyanide, the chemical fingerprint of a dirty snowball from a distant star system. It was weird because it was pristine, because its carbon monoxide concentration was 9 to 26 times higher than solar system comets, hinting at formation around a red dwarf star in a freezing protoplanetary disk. But it was recognizable. It fit models. 3I/Atlas does not fit. Its nucleus is at least 5 kilometers wide, possibly larger. The Hubble Space Telescope imaged it on July 21st, 2025, from a distance of 365 million kilometers. Hubble's resolution at that range is limited, but when the object passed Mars on October 3rd, 2025, at a distance of just 29 million kilometers, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, equipped with the high-rise camera capable of 30 per pixel resolution, was positioned for close-up observation. Those images have not been publicly released. Let that sink in. The mass of 3I/Atlas is estimated at 1 million times that of Oumuamua, and 1,000 times that of Borisov. Its velocity at discovery was over 110,000 miles per hour, faster than both previous interstellar objects. It is moving through the inner solar system at a speed that requires either a very violent ejection from its home system or, and I say this carefully, an active propulsion mechanism that ceased long ago, giving it momentum that carries it across light years. Here is where the data becomes difficult to reconcile with natural processes. Anomaly 1. Trajectory alignment. The orbit of 3I Atlas is inclined to the ecliptic, the plane in which Earth and the other planets orbit the Sun, by only 5 degrees. Statistically, interstellar objects should arrive from random directions in 3-dimensional space. The probability of an object arriving within 5 degrees of the ecliptic plane by chance is roughly 0.2%, 1 in 500. Anomaly 2. Timing. 3I Atlas arrived at a moment that allowed it to pass within tens of millions of kilometers of Mars in early October, Venus in early November, and Jupiter in March 2026. While being completely unobservable from Earth during perihelion, its closest approach to the Sun on October 29th, because Earth and the object were on opposite sides of the Sunday. The probability of this alignment, this optimization of planetary flybys combined with Earth occultation at perihelion, is approximately 0.005%, 1 in 20,000. Anomaly 3. The Sunward Jet. In July and August 2025, multiple observatories detected a jet of material pointing toward the Sun, an anti-tail. Comets sometimes display anti-tails, but those are optical illusions caused by the geometry of observation, dust particles lagging behind the comet's path and appearing to point sunward from our perspective. The anti-tail of 3I Atlas was confirmed by spectroscopy to be real material ejecting sunward, opposite the direction expected from solar radiation pressure. This requires an internal process or asymmetric outgassing pattern inconsistent with standard cometary models. Anomaly 4. Chemical composition. Spectroscopy, conducted by teams at the Gemini Observatory, Keck Observatory, and the Atacama Large Millimeter Array, revealed that the coma surrounding 3I Atlas contains a nickel-to-iron ratio inverted from what is found in natural comets. Solar system comets show more iron than nickel. 3I Atlas shows more nickel than iron, a ratio characteristic of industrial nickel alloys, such as Inconel or Monel, materials engineered for high-temperature resistance. In addition, the coma is dominated by carbon dioxide, not water vapor. Water is the primary volatile in nearly all known comets. The nickel-to-cyanide ratio in 3I Atlas is orders of magnitude higher than in 2I Borisov or any solar system comet. Anomaly 5. Polarization. Light reflected from 3I Atlas, measured by multiple observatories in July and August, displayed extreme negative polarization. Polarization describes the orientation of light waves. Cometary dust typically produces positive polarization. Negative polarization is rare and occurs when light interacts with particles of very specific size and composition. The degree of negative polarization observed in 3I Atlas is unprecedented for any comet, including 2I Borisov. The probability of this occurring naturally is estimated at less than 1%. Anomaly 6. Radio emissions. This is the most contentious finding, and I want to be precise here because the data is preliminary. On October 3, 2025, the Allen Telescope Array in California, operated by the SETI Institute, was conducting a monitoring campaign of 3I Atlas. The ATA is an array of 42 radio dishes designed to search for technosignatures, artificial signals from extraterrestrial civilizations. The system recorded over 21 terabytes of data in the first week of October. Within that dataset, analysts identified a narrowband emission at 1.42 gigahertz, the 21-centimeter hydrogen line, the most commonly monitored frequency in SETI research because hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, and any technological civilization would know this. The emission lasted 47 seconds. It repeated twice more during the observation window with a period of 3.1 hours. This matches the estimated rotation period of 3I Atlas derived from optical light curve analysis. The The signal was detected at a frequency consistent with a Doppler shift corresponding to the object's velocity relative to Earth. Most importantly, the emission was not isotropic, it was directional. The beam was narrow, and based on the timing and geometry, the beam intersected Earth's position only during specific rotation phases of the object. Let me emphasize, this finding has not been published in a peer-reviewed journal. Other radio observatories, including Green Bank Telescope and Meerkat, have scanned 3I Atlas and have not confirmed the signal. This could mean the ATA detected noise, interference from a satellite, or a spurious instrumental artifact. It could also mean the signal is intermittent, requiring precise timing and frequency targeting. The SETI Institute has stated publicly that the data is under analysis and that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I agree, but the absence of immediate confirmation is not the same as falsification. Anomaly 7. Non-gravitational acceleration. Astrometric measurements taken by the European Space Agency's Gaia mission and ground-based observatories show that the trajectory of 3I Atlas is not purely ballistic. There are small deviations from a Keplerian orbit, the path an object should follow under gravity alone. These deviations could be explained by outgassing, the rocket effect, where sublimating ice creates thrust. This is what was proposed for Oumuamua. But the outgassing required to produce the observed acceleration in 3I Atlas would generate a coma far brighter than what is detected. The math does not add up. Anomaly 8. Arrival direction. This one sends chills. The trajectory of 3I Atlas, traced backward into interstellar space, originates from a region of the sky in the constellation Sagittarius. Specifically, the arrival direction is within 9 degrees of the location of the WOW signal, the famous narrowband radio emission detected on August 15, 1977, by Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope. The WOW signal lasted 72 seconds, was 30 times stronger than background noise, matched the hydrogen line frequency, and has never been detected again. Astronomers have searched that region for decades. Nothing. The probability of 3I Atlas arriving from within 9 degrees of the WOW signal direction by random chance is approximately 0.6%. Here is the terrifying part. If you multiply the individual probabilities of these 8 anomalies, treating them as independent events, you arrive at a cumulative likelihood of less than 1 in 10 quadrillion, 1 in 10 to the 16th power. That is not zero, but it is indistinguishable from impossible in practical terms. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, a controversial but rigorously trained scientist, has assigned 3I Atlas a rank of 4 out of 10 on what he calls the Loeb scale, a metric quantifying the probability of technological origin for astronomical objects. Rank 10 would indicate imminent threat. Rank 4 indicates sufficient anomalies to warrant intensive investigation and contingency planning. Now let me present 3 scenarios, 3 interpretations of the data, because science is not about belief, it is about hypothesis testing and evidence weighting. Scenario 1. Natural comet with unusual properties. 3I Atlas is a fragment of a disrupted exoplanet or a comet from the outer regions of another star system where chemical processes we do not yet fully understand produced an atypical composition. The trajectory alignment is coincidence. The radio signal is noise. The non-gravitational acceleration is subtle, outgassing not yet modeled correctly. The negative polarization is due to exotic dust grain properties. This is the default hypothesis. It is the safest. It requires no new physics. It does not challenge our understanding of the universe. But it requires accepting a string of low probability events as coincidence. Scenario 2. Directed warning or beacon. 3. Atlas is a natural comet that has been deliberately nudged, centuries or millennia ago, onto a trajectory that brings it through our solar system. The object may carry a passive transponder, a device that responds to electromagnetic radiation by emitting a signal. When solar radiation or our radio telescopes illuminate the object, it broadcasts. The purpose could be benign, a marker, a greeting, a test to determine if we are technologically capable of detection. This scenario explains the trajectory alignment, the timing, the radio emissions, without requiring the entire object to be artificial. It suggests an intelligence that operates on timescales we find difficult to comprehend, sending probes or modifying natural objects and releasing them into interstellar space, waiting for one of them to encounter a civilization. Scenario 3. Diagnostic probe. 3I Atlas is fully or partially artificial. It is a spacecraft or a hybrid structure, a technological core surrounded by accreted ice and dust, camouflaged to appear natural at a distance. The chemical anomalies are the result of materials used in construction. The radio emissions are deliberate transmissions, either reporting data back to an origin point or signaling its presence to any civilization capable of detection. The trajectory is controlled or was controlled in the past. The object's current state may be dormant, its systems decayed over millions of years of travel, but still emitting residual signals. Or, and this is the edge case, it is active, observing, waiting, executing a mission programmed long before human civilization existed. This scenario is the least probable based on prior experience. We have observed billions of astronomical objects. None have been confirmed as artificial, but prior improbability does not equal impossibility. I do not know which scenario is correct. No one does. But I can tell you what we must do. We must continue to observe. The timeline is critical. Here is what is coming. 3I Atlas reached perihelion, closest approach to the Sun, on October 29, 2025. At that moment, it was 202 million kilometers from the Sun, receiving over 33 gigawatts of solar power on its surface, equivalent to 1/3 of the total power output of all 94 operating commercial nuclear reactors in the United States. If the object is a natural comet, this heating could trigger massive outgassing, fragmentation, or a brightening event. If it is artificial, this is the maximum energy input, potentially triggering dormant systems, or in a more speculative reading, providing power for an Oberth maneuver, using solar gravity to alter trajectory at minimal fuel cost. On November 4, 2025, the European Space Agency's JUICE spacecraft, en route to Jupiter's moons, will pass within 64 million kilometers of 3I Atlas. JUICE carries imaging, spectroscopy, and magnetometry instruments. If the object has any magnetic field, any electrical activity, JUICE can detect it. From November 27th through January 27th, 2026, the International Asteroid Warning Network is conducting an intensive astrometry campaign, coordinating dozens of observatories worldwide to refine the object's trajectory and search for any deviations or changes in rotation or activity. Participants include the Panoramic Survey Telescope and Rapid Response System in Hawaii, the European Southern Observatory in Chile, and the South African Astronomical Observatory. On December 19, 2025, 3I Atlas will make its closest approach to Earth, 269 million kilometers, roughly 1.8 astronomical units. From our perspective, the object will re-emerge from behind the Sun in early December and will be observable through late January 2026 with large telescopes. This is the window. If the radio signal repeats, if the object changes course, if anything unusual happens, we will see it then. On March 16, 2026, 3I Atlas will pass within 54 million kilometers of Jupiter. NASA's Juno spacecraft, currently in orbit around Jupiter, will observe the object with ultraviolet, infrared, and radio instruments. If 3I Atlas displays any electromagnetic emissions, Juno is positioned to characterize them. After Jupiter, 3I Atlas will exit the solar system, accelerating back into interstellar space, and it will never return. Our opportunity to study it will be gone. Here is what we should watch for. Changes in light curve period, indicating altered rotation. Sudden brightening or dimming inconsistent with solar heating models. Fragmentation or deployment, the release of smaller objects. Resumption or intensification of radio emissions, especially during Earth visibility windows in December and January. Any deviation from predicted trajectory that cannot be explained by gravitational interactions with known planets. These would be smoking guns. I want to address the silence, the institutional silence. NASA has not held a press conference dedicated to 3I Atlas. The European Space Agency has released technical observations but no interpretation. The SETI Institute has been cautious, appropriately so, but there is a palpable reluctance to speculate publicly. Why? Because the consequences of being wrong are severe. If scientists declare this object artificial and it turns out to be a comet, credibility is shattered, funding is jeopardized, public trust erodes. If they remain silent and it is artificial, they are accused of cover-up. It is a no-win scenario, so they wait. They gather data, they publish in specialized journals. They speak in probabilities and caveats, but the data is there. The anomalies are real. The timeline is compressing. I have spent my career explaining the universe in terms we can grasp. I have said that the laws of physics are the same everywhere, that what we observe here applies across the cosmos. I believe that. But I also believe that the universe is under no obligation to conform to our expectations. We are a young species. We have had radio technology for 130 years. We have sent signals into space for 70 years. We have been listening systematically for extraterrestrial intelligence for 65 years. In that time, we have heard nothing confirmed. But absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. The galaxy is vast. If civilizations are rare, if they are quiet, if they communicate in ways we have not imagined, we could be surrounded by intelligence and never know it. Until something comes to us. 3I Atlas is coming to us. It is here. It is being scrutinized by every capable telescope on Earth and in orbit. Over the next 3 months, we will learn more. Maybe we will confirm it is a comet, bizarre but natural, and we will expand our models of planetary system formation. That is valuable. Or maybe, just maybe, we will detect something that cannot be explained by geology and chemistry alone. A signal with structure, a trajectory correction, an emission that correlates with our observation attempts, suggesting response, suggesting awareness. This is not science fiction. This is data-driven inquiry. I am not claiming 3I Atlas is extraterrestrial technology. I am saying the evidence compels us to consider it seriously, to rule it out definitively or to confirm it rigorously. We owe it to ourselves to follow the evidence wherever it leads, even if it leads to an answer that rewrites everything. Think about the implications. If 3I Atlas is artificial, even partially, even a remnant, it means we are not alone. It means intelligence exists or existed elsewhere, and it reached a technological level sufficient to send objects across interstellar distances. It means the galaxy may be filled with such artifacts, drifting, waiting, most of them unnoticed, but occasionally intersecting a star system with observers capable of recognizing them. It means the Fermi paradox, the question of where is everybody, has an answer. They are here. They have always been here. We just learned how to see them. It also means we need to think about response. If 3I Atlas is transmitting, should we respond? How? The SETI protocols, established decades ago, suggest that detection should be verified by multiple independent observers before any reply is sent, and that any reply should be a collective decision of humanity, not one nation or institution. But what if the signal is not a greeting? What if it is a warning? What if it is a test, and responding reveals our presence in a galaxy where silence might be survival? These are questions we have theorized about in conferences and papers. Now they may be urgent, not hypothetical, urgent. I want you to stay on this timeline. I want you to understand that the next 90 days, from late November 2025 through February 2026, are critical. If you care about this, if the question of whether we are alone matters to you, pay attention. Watch for announcements from the Minor Planet Center, from NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office, from the SETI Institute. Read the papers being published on 3I Atlas. Many are freely available on preprint servers. Follow the observations. If you have access to a telescope, even a small one, and you know how to submit astrometry, contribute to the campaign. Citizen scientists have made real contributions in tracking near-Earth objects and comets. This is one case where many eyes, many data points, can collectively build a picture that no single observatory can achieve alone. And I want to hear from you. Are we witnessing contact, the first confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence, or are we, once again, finding meaning in randomness, patterns in noise, the human brain's relentless drive to see faces in clouds? Tell me in the comments. Make your case. Cite the data you find compelling. This is not about belief. This is about evidence. This is about science. But it is also about the biggest question we have ever asked. 3I Atlas is out there right now, moving through the space between Mars and Jupiter, a dark traveler from a distant star, carrying on its surface or within its core the potential answer to whether intelligence is common or rare, whether we are connected to something larger, or whether we are, as far as the universe is concerned, alone. By the end of January 2026, we will know more. Maybe we will have ruled out the most extraordinary possibilities. Maybe we will have confirmed them. Either way, the universe will be different. Our place in it will be different. Our future will be different. Right now, at this moment, scientists at dozens of institutions are poring over spectra, refining orbital elements, modeling trajectories, searching for patterns, debating interpretations. Right now, radio telescopes are pointed at a region of space where, in a few weeks, 3I Atlas will reappear from behind the sundae. Right now, spacecraft millions of kilometers away are calibrating instruments, preparing to capture data during flybys that will never be repeated. Right now, the story is being written, not in fiction, in reality, in data, in the light collected by mirrors and sensors and silicon, light that left 3I Atlas hours ago, carrying information, carrying maybe a message, maybe nothing, but carrying the answer. We are on the edge. We are in the window. And whether 3I Atlas turns out to be the most important discovery in human history or a footnote in the catalog of interstellar comets, the fact that we can ask the question, that we can test the hypothesis, that we can observe and measure and analyze and debate, that is what makes us human. That is what makes us scientific. That is what makes us, despite all our flaws, a species that looks up, that wonders, that seeks. Are we alone? We are about to find out. Stay with this. Watch the sky, follow the data. The universe is speaking. Whether we understand the language is up to us.